Hello, everybody. This is Paul Tinkle, and this week we're talking with Alex Britt here on our 30 Minutes program. He is the Elections Commission Administrator. He is the gentleman who oversees all the elections in Weakley County. And it's my pleasure to have Alex on. I've been knowing Alex for a number of years. He does a terrific job. But when you're the administrator of elections, it's not about friends, it's about business. Alex, thanks for coming in today and sharing some things that we need to know about the upcoming elections.
Thanks for having me, Paul. I'm always excited to come in here and record with you, be on the air. It's always a good time.
What's going on right now at the Election Commission office? We're ending up April and getting ready for some things that may be happening in the month of May.
Yeah, we just finished up getting certified after that March presidential preference primary, so we got all that behind us, got it all cleaned up and wrapped up, and we are in preparations now for our August county general election and our state and federal primaries that are coming up. So there's always something going on at the election office. It's always preparing for the next thing.
At our broadcast time here, I think we're 207 days from the presidential election, maybe 206, somewhere in that neighborhood. But in regards to all of this, we only see what we see maybe on CNN, Fox, and those things about elections. We don't know too much about it. Maybe we need to take some baby steps here for just a moment, since we are dealing with an election that is going to take place here in Weakley County.
Yep, August, we've got coming up these local elections. You know, a lot of times, unfortunately, this August election before the presidential election that happens in November, gets forgotten about. And there are important things that are happening on every ballot that we have here in Weakley County in our state. So it's very important that residents and citizens are informed about what's going on, that they participate in the process. If you really think about it, the folks that are elected here locally have a lot more impact on your everyday life than, say, the President of the United States. But because that's the top job, it gets the most attention. So we see a lot of times that voter trends are, we're going to have a whole lot more people vote in November of this year because it is that presidential, but it drops off on the others. But especially here locally, we've got all these exciting things going on here in Weakley County, good things going on. It's important for our citizens to be informed and get out and vote.
What's going to be on the ballot in the month of August?
August, we have our state and federal primaries, of course, and so we start off with there's a primary for United States Senate, a primary for United States House of Representatives, Congress, and then you've got state Senate and state House. Those are the primary offices that are going to be going on. The state Democrat Party had some vacancies in their state executive committee for the committee woman and the committee man. Both of those will be on this ballot. If you vote in the Democratic primary, you'll see those on there. So as far as the state and federal primaries go, that's what we've got going on this time. Then as you get to our local elections, our county general election, you've got school board, the odd-numbered districts this time, so it's 1, 3, 5, 7, and 9. That will be the general election ballot. We've got a few contested races as it comes to that. Then there's some constable positions that are some unexpired terms where there was a vacancy. Either the county commission filled that vacancy temporarily, and this is the election that it'll be filled, or it's a recent vacancy. So those will be on the ballot. And then now the big thing that everybody seems to be talking about and have a lot of attention to is our county mayor, after serving since 2014, has submitted his resignation to the county commission this month. April 30th will be his last day in office, and so that's creating a vacancy in our county mayor's position. So that office will actually go on the August ballot as well, and so voters will have the opportunity to, for the rest of this term, select who our county mayor will be.
So somebody will be elected or appointed for a 90-day tenure?
So, no, the county commission has the option of appointing someone temporarily. Because of the timing of this, they're not going to be required by law to appoint somebody. They may choose to do so. It's 120 days. If the vacancy were going to be 120 days, they would be required by law to fill the vacancy in that term. But because the vacancy won't exist that long before we get to the August election, they won't be required to. Again, they may choose to. That's completely up to our 18 county commissioners whether they choose to fill that vacancy in the temporary. And then we'll have the August election. And whoever is elected in August will serve the remainder of this term. They will hold the office until the 2026 election cycle, which is the normal cycle. And then if they choose, they would be able to run for re-election for their own term. But for now, it would be to complete the current term that is happening. So normally, if we have an August county election that's not filling a vacancy, the county mayor or whoever county official is elected would wait until September the 1st to take office. That's the beginning of the term. As we're filling the vacancy, it would only be required till after the election is certified. And then they can, so if we get the election certified the week after, then whoever is elected can go ahead and be sworn in and take the office upon election certification.
This is very interesting and somewhat new territory for Weakley County. I have a hard time trying to remember the last time anybody stepped down in their current position. But I do want to follow up with one more thing. Across the county, outside of the county mayor's office, correct me if I'm incorrect, but there is an election going on for the assessor of property. Is that correct?
That is correct. Yep. And that'll be on the ballot for general election as well.
And will there be a candidate for that position, either party or independents?
For assessor? Yes. In the March primaries, our current assessor, Lisa Odell, was the only candidate that participated in the primaries and secured the Republican nomination. And then she was the only candidate at all that petitioned for the position. So she will be running unopposed for assessor of properties.
When we say unopposed, that means that no Democrat and no independents can run in that election, other than what, a write-in maybe?
Well, at this point, the petition period is over for that, and so anybody at any point in time can write a candidate in that they so choose. You can vote for yourself. People vote for Mickey Mouse all the time, but to have your votes counted as a write-in, you have to be a certified write-in candidate. There's a procedure to go through for that. So
I don't want to be chewy on this, but what you just said a moment ago, Mickey Mouse, do you really get those kinds of things?
Yes, sir, we do. It's and that's the voters' right to do that. You vote for whoever you want to. If you're not satisfied with who's on there, you can leave it blank, or you can write somebody in. But those are never tabulated. We just kind of see those on the results tapes, or we see those as they come through. But those are not ever tabulated. That's really things that we see in the office.
If you've just joined us, our guest today is Weakley County's Administrator of Elections, Alex Britt. So right now, up until what time can someone get on the ballot?
Well, at this point, the petition period is closed for our August elections. We finished that up first part of April. Today's actually the withdrawal deadline, we're recording today on the 11th of April. But so the petition period is closed for that August ballot. When the office of county mayor is vacant, so when Mayor Bynum serves his last day on April the 30th, that office will become vacant once he leaves that day. And then our office on May the 1st will begin to issue petitions for the office of county mayor for independent candidates only. Our office will only issue petitions for independents. The county parties, the county Democratic Party, the county Republican Party, they have the option of holding a caucus to where they can select a candidate to represent their party on the ballot. So if the parties choose to caucus, they'll inform our office. They have the same deadline. That deadline will be June the 7th at noon. So once we start issuing petitions on May the 1st to any independents, their deadline will be June the 7th. The county parties can hold their caucus at any time during that period, and they'll have that same deadline. So if our county parties choose to have those caucuses, to have a Republican or a Democrat on the ballot, that's how those candidates will be selected.
If there were a Republican caucus and a Democratic caucus, if you will, for both of them, and let's just say they put, okay, I'm gonna step back a second, and they put Mickey Mouse up there. Okay, both of them decided they wanted to put whoever it happens to be.
Right.
So they put those two people up there, whoever they happen to be, and then anyone else that wants to run would have to run as an independent. Is that correct?
Correct. Yes. If you seek the office, so say the Republican Party and the Democrat Party both hold caucuses for this. Mm-hmm. If you're seeking the office as a Republican, then you would participate in that caucus. If you secure the nomination, then you will be the Republican candidate. Same thing for the Democrat Party. If you want to be the Democrat candidate, you'll seek the nomination through the caucus, and then you will be that Democratic candidate. And then any other person that wants to seek the office that doesn't choose to seek it as a Republican or a Democrat would have to go through the petition process as a normal candidate. And then as it appears on the ballot, you would have Paul Tinkle, Republican Party candidate, Alex Britt, Democratic Party candidate or nominee, and then you would have Kevin Bartholomew, the independent candidate. That's how it would appear on the ballot.
And several independents could,
yes,
correct?
Yes. So you would only have one Republican candidate, you would only have one Democratic nominee, and then as many independent candidates as qualify would appear on the ballot.
Today, the R and the D have kind of swapped over the last 15 to 20 years, where it was very hard for a Republican to win. Now it seems to be hard for a Democrat to win. And then some people are taking the stance of being an independent. You see more independent candidates now, and particularly in the courthouse.
Yes, there are a few, and of course that's always the candidate's choice, whether they want to be a Republican candidate or if they want to be independent. So as far as political parties and things that go, I know you're not pushing me into that, but it's whatever the candidate wants to be, and then the voters have the option of who they want to vote for. So I wouldn't say it's impossible for somebody that represents a party or is a nominee from a party wouldn't be able to win an election. But I would say it's just up to that candidate what they want to do, and if you get out and work and knock the doors and do the work, then you'll do a good job. We
have many qualified people to serve in office. Many of them, most of them, would not want to do it, but we have many qualified people. So what is it if someone decides to run for office? What do they have to do first?
Well, in the case where you would go through the petition process, you would come to our office and say, hey, I would like to seek this office. We would make sure from our end, if it was a particular district, that you were in the right district, and then we would issue you a petition.
Let's just say it's the county mayor position.
Okay.
Since that one is wide open right now.
All right. So particular for this, county mayor, again, it would only be independent candidates that we would issue petitions for, but you would come and get that petition, and then you would be required as the candidate to get, and I always say it this way, 25 other qualified voters in Weakley County to agree with you that they would like to see you on the ballot. That's the minimum. We always encourage candidates to get more signatures on their petition, because sometimes folks are not registered voters and they think they are, or they just sign your petition just to move along. So we always encourage candidates to get more than that minimum of 25 signatures. But basically, the petition process is, I want to seek this office, and you're required to go and get the minimum of 25 other qualified voters that agree with you that they think that you should be on the ballot.
When is the petition issued, and when is it stopped?
For the county mayor particular, like we talked about before, our county mayor, his last day will be April the 30th, and so that's the day when he leaves, the office will be vacant. So May the 1st is when we will begin issuing petitions for that, and then the deadline is June the 7th at noon.
If someone decided that they wanted to run as a Democrat, can they do that at that May 1st headline, if you will?
They won't be able to pick up a petition from us to seek the office as a Democrat. They would need to talk with our local Weakley County Democratic Party. Same thing for a Republican Party. You would need to reach out to your local party leaders and let them know you're interested in seeking the office as a Democrat or a Republican, so that they could hold a caucus.
Yeah, what if they just both decided that they didn't want to caucus anybody and just let them run the way they run? Is it all independent?
That would be up to the county parties. That would be their choice. The parties have the choice to not hold a primary if that's what they want. And then, yes, at that point, the only candidates would be independents, because our office won't issue petitions otherwise.
It's interesting because I don't know that they understood this until you just mentioned it, that it could be no Republican, no Democrat on the ballot unless that person is caucused and receives the nomination from the Democrat Party or the Republican Party. And that would be maybe a first and a maybe historical moment. I don't know that I have ever seen an office, a 4-year office, since my time in 1981. They've all either been Republicans or Democrats. And yes, there have been some write-ins, and yes, there have been independents, but never where there wasn't one or the other, or both.
I mean, that's actually a good point. I haven't really thought about that, but if the county parties choose not to caucus, it may be a first time that a candidate did not have the opportunity to be a party's nominee in our county. I'm not sure about that, but since I've been in Weakley County, 2001 when I got here, and since I've been paying attention to elections, I can't remember a time where there wasn't at least the opportunity for a candidate to seek the nomination of a party. So that's a good point that I haven't really even thought about.
If you've just joined us, the Administrator of Elections in Weakley County, Alex Britt, is with us here today on our 30 Minutes program. This program, by the way, is also archived, and you can find this podcast by simply going up to the podcast here on Thunderbolt Radio. Okay, let me take you to another step here for just a moment. It takes about how much money to put on an election?
So it really depends on the size of the election, and most of it is in election officials. When we have an election, as I referenced earlier in our conversation, a lot more voters participate in the November elections, number one, and then a lot more will participate in this November election in particular as it's presidential. So as we have larger voter participation, we'll have more election officials. As far as the voting equipment goes, and as far as those costs go, they're pretty static.
Yeah.
But when we have more voter participation, we'll have more election officials. So generally, we're talking in the 30,000 range, but again, it will be more or less based on the voter participation in election officials. Those of you that have participated in early voting, which I would greatly encourage voters to vote early. It's a great opportunity. You'll notice that in the March primaries, And then when we had 2 years ago, we had the May county primary. And then in our August elections, our satellite early voting location in Martin, the Masonic Lodge in Martin, is not open every single day of the early voting period for those elections because voter participation is lower. And so
got to save some money.
Yeah. So we're not going to open it every day because the volume of votes doesn't justify the cost. In the November elections, those locations are open every single day because the volume of voters. And so that, again, that increased the cost of our election officials and the time that we put in there. So, but those are some of the things that we do to give access to the ballot.
Do you need poll workers?
We're always looking for good election officials to add.
Does it have to be a Democrat, Republican, Independent, or state it?
Whatever you want to be. We'll be glad to take you. State law does require that we have our polling locations as balanced as possible, Republican, Democrat. So we will ask you to identify whether you identify with what political party for that purpose, so we can meet the state law. But every election that I've served as administrator since 2016, we've added new election officials. We constantly have election officials that are saying, I'm retiring, I've done it long enough, or maybe they get another job and they don't have as much availability. So we're always adding new officials to our election officials. So we're looking for you.
So what do you pay them? How much an hour?
Well, it's not an hourly rate. It's a flat rate. In our primary elections for March or May, and then our August elections, an election official will make $100 for the day. When we get to the November election, it will pay a little bit more again because of the volume. The work is more, so you get $125 for those days.
Okay, let me go back to another thing that we didn't take a moment to do. This should have done it earlier in the program. But you have 5 people that serve on the Election Commission board, and this is a good time to acknowledge who these people are.
Right. So we have Ricka McDonald is our chairman. Ricka served in the election office since 2012 as the deputy administrator, worked alongside me until her retirement. And then right after she retired, she was appointed to be an election commissioner. So she's our chairman. You've got Rachel Lovell as the secretary of the election commission. Then you've got Kelly Swearingen, serves on the commission. He served as an election official. Rachel did as well. She served as an election official on our counting board. Kelly and Rachel served together. Then you've got Linda Ramsey, that's been active in our county for a long time with our Democrat Party. She serves, and Keith Davis is our newest member.
I want to get into a couple of other small things, and these are easy numbers for you because you know all of the numbers.
I hope so.
What is what's the average turnout in Weakley County? Approximately 20%, 25%?
Again, it all depends on the election. We did really well in our November 2020 and our November 22 elections. We had 70+% voter participation. And I
think that's very high for Weakley County.
That's really good. We actually finished in the top 10 in the state in 2020 with our voter participation, and again in 22. So Weakley Countyans are getting out there and vote. I think it's because of the access that we have to the ballot with the satellite early voting and our vote centers. That's a really good thing.
Let me take a moment and acknowledge you and the office at Weakley County. Secretary of State Trey Hargett was in town recently at Gleason, also in Lake County and Hollow Rock Brewston Central. Weakley County's Gleason High School senior class, everyone that was 18 got registered, and that's right. Due primarily because you and a couple of other people that were involved in this, students and so forth.
Yeah, so several years ago, Secretary of State Hargett created the Ann Dallas Dudley Award, and that's to recognize high schools in our state that help get our students registered to vote. So basically, any high school that applies for this that has 85% or more of their eligible students registered to vote, they would be eligible to be awarded this. And again, your high school has to apply for it. It's something that I've worked with our schools, our four high schools to do so. But if a school gets 100% of the eligible voters registered, they get the gold level award. That's the case for our Gleason High School, and then again, like you said, Lake County, and then Central High School in Brewston Hollow Rock, that they got 100% of eligible students registered, so they got that gold level award. Secretary Hargett came and recognized them and gave them that recognition.
We got a couple of minutes here before we hang up with Alex Britt, Weakley County Administrator of Elections. First off, office hours, real quick.
8:30 a.m. to 4 p.m.
And you can get registered to vote at any of during that time.
You can come to our office during that time. A great opportunity to point out the GoVoteTN app or govotn.gov. You can get registered online. There's all kinds of information. So look that up in the Apple Store or the Google Play Store.
How important is the election to the candidates? You've had one candidate, I can tell you, I can remember when there was a tie. It had to be broken by the county commission. It was a position for constable. I can tell you that the superintendent of Weakley County was elected by 6 votes.
Yeah.
That I can remember. Can you tell me some close votes?
Yeah, no, there's the closest that I can think of recently was our district attorney 2 years ago. That was a matter of, I think, 60 votes maybe. So it's really close, and that's a 2-county race. So every vote matters, especially when you get down to these local races. So the candidates would really appreciate you getting out to vote. I always tell folks it's our job at the Election Commission to make voting accessible and easy for voters. It's the candidates' job to encourage you to get out there and vote. So they are more interested in that voter participation than anybody else, because that means they've done a good job encouraging you to vote.
Got about 2 minutes left here. What's keeping you up at night?
Nothing to do with elections. Elections are, in Tennessee, we have a great process. Again, it's been recognized nationally. Tennessee is #1 in the nation for election integrity. So Tennessee has a great process. As we get down here locally, we have great people involved in our elections, for all the way from our election commission all the way through to our election officials that participate. We've got great people, so elections don't keep me up at night.
Do you have to bring identity or a social security card or what? A driver's license? What do you have to have?
When you come to vote, the state of Tennessee requires photo ID. That's issued by the federal government or the state of Tennessee. That's the requirement that came out. That was a statute in 2012. So most voters are used to that at this point.
And what if they don't have any identity when they come out?
There's processes that we go through to help and assist voters with that. But the state of Tennessee requires that photo ID. Our officials are going to ask for that when you come in.
Elderly, having a hard time to get in and get out?
Yep. I mean, we've got plenty of access for people to come in and vote in person, but also any voter that has any sort of disability, or if by virtue of being 60 years or older, you're eligible to vote through the mail. So that's also an option.
A lot of people probably wonder, I know you all do the heavy lifting on going to the nursing homes and so forth, but if somebody just can't come and they want to vote, what do you do?
They need to just reach out to our office, and we'll make sure that we get there. That was a fun lightning round there, Paul, though. Bam, bam, bam. That was good.
Those are easy questions. I left the heavy ones to the politicians.
That's right.
I thank you so much. I appreciate the staff at Weakley County's elections office, but more importantly, the great work that is done, and congratulations on being a part of #1 across the United States and top 10. That's fantastic.
Yep, that's our voters. They're getting out and vote.
Good work done by the Weakley County Election Commission. Hope you've enjoyed our program here today on 30 Minutes. This is Paul Tinkle, pre-recorded. Alex Britt, our guest, Weakley County Administrator of Elections here on Thunderbolt Radio.
You've been listening to 30 Minutes, a community affairs program on Thunderbolt Radio. You can listen to this broadcast and others anytime by visiting thunderboltradio.com and following the Thunderbolt Radio and Digital YouTube page. Thanks for listening.